All right, guys, so I am doing this while driving, so don't worry about the lack of eye contact, or I should say I apologize for the lack of eye contact. I am going to first start with the controversial topic in the title. So if you just want an update on what's going on in Colorado with elk and bears and all that good stuff based on my guiding in the last couple weeks, just go to the last half of this video. Now, on the Lampers topic, stunning to me how many messages I got while I was up in the mountains regarding this, from folks that know Lampers very well, from folks that just watch his content, folks that are just kind of confused about this controversy or drama. So my first take, or I guess comment on this, is that I do believe that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. My interaction with Ryan has historically been pretty limited. I know him. I've met him a couple times in person. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. Seemed like a great guy. Everybody I know who knows him well speaks very highly of him. I can totally transparently say I have never heard one bad thing about the guy. That doesn't mean he's innocent. That doesn't mean he didn't make bad choices. But that's all my interaction with the guy. That's what it comes down to. That's the summary of it. All right. So I have no idea, and I'm going to withhold judgment. Now, looking at probability of these things, obviously something's going on because he's vanished from social media, and historically, and I'm going to get into this more, I've seen a ton of this. This is not something new with social media. This has plagued the outfitting and guiding world since I was 5 years old, this kind of shit. And usually the truth is somewhere between total innocence and what the charges say. There's some middle spot that is probably the reality. So that, unfortunately, is what it is. Now, I want to get beyond that. I don't want to dwell on that. What I do want to talk about is what I just kind of alluded to, and that's that this has been around forever. It has plagued guys who write books about hunting mule deer, or used to write books about hunting mule deer, 20, 30 years ago. It has plagued the guiding and outfitting community since the beginning of time. People make poor decisions a lot of the times when you add in economic incentives when it comes to wildlife. And it really not just comes to wildlife, probably comes to anything, right? People are more willing to stretch the rules, willing to stretch really what they feel morally comfortable with, all of that when you involve money. I saw this growing up. There was always the outfitter that, was from the town next door, and he consistently was killing gigantic bulls in a wilderness area that was hard to hunt. Nobody knew how he was doing it, and then the next year it turns out we all found out why he was doing it. There is just this economic thing that guys give into, and then now there is probably an additional layer. There's the ego part of it that's on social media. So all I'm going to say is that if you're in this world, and I am in both of those worlds, social media and outfitting, don't fall for that trap. Don't make poor decisions. Don't do something that you don't want people to see. Just imagine there's a drone over your shoulder, because there damn near is. And so you have to view it that way, and you have to view it as the long game. And I'm really saying this in the context of guiding and outfitting, but it does apply to social media. It's just kind of a new concept in my mind. You have to play the long game, because there will be people that you're competing with that are playing the short game. And I'm not saying that that's Ryan. Like I said, I'm just talking about this conceptually because it's obviously relevant, right? There will be people that are playing the short game, that are pushing the boundaries all the time, and it catches up to them. And if you go down that path, it'll catch up to you too. The reality with hunting is, big animals consistent results, those sort of things, unless you have a huge budget, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. Go look at my Instagram or all my social media, old websites of mine. Go look at old businesses that I owned. Look at the animals. There's gigantic ones. There are ones that are not very big. There are stories of getting skunked. There are success rates that are far from 100%. And that is the reality of a huge chunk of hunting. The problem is that a lot of people in these positions feel an insane amount of pressure to buck that reality. And they can do it for a while, and a lot of times they do it by pushing the limits, the legal limits, pushing even budgetary limits, spending themselves into the depth just to show that they shot a Marco Polo, a giant Marco Polo, or whatever, 400-inch bulls or whatever over the last 10 years. There's guys that'll push themselves into financial ruin just so they can show their buddies that or show the world that via social media. Or there's guys that'll, stretch to the truth, right? Will go shoot high fence bulls and claim they're public land bulls. Any of that is not okay. And it's the reality. And I try to be transparent about that. If I'm hunting private ranches, I'm hunting private ranches. If I'm hunting public, I'm hunting the public. Do I put a caption in every single post like, hey, I'm hunting this place, or I'm hunting a 0-point unit or a 5-point unit or a 10-point unit, or now I'm hunting a private ranch? No, I don't do that. But if you ask me, I will tell you. I don't do that mainly because just administrative pain in the ass. But I am open to everybody that I guide across the board on different types of areas that the hunts are going to be 40-50% success rate on raghorns. And I'm going to also guide on places like I'm going to go guide here in a week on a place that we're going to call in bulls every day. And there's some pretty good bulls around, and it's really not that hard to kill a pretty good bull, right? So there's that spectrum. And I think people just need to realize that you got to be somewhat transparent about that in this world, and don't make shitty decisions, because that's playing the short game. And there is an insane amount of incentive to do that. So that's where I'm going to leave it. This is not something new. I don't want people to construe this that I'm defending Ryan, because I have no idea what the details are. But I wish the guy the best. I honestly hope he's innocent. I hope that this is just all made up and there's somebody out to get him or something like that. I hope that's the explanation. If it's not, I hope the guy made a mistake and deals with it, and it's not something that he's been doing for 20 years. It's just a one-off stupid mistake that snowballed into something that is really going to affect his life, but something that he can get over and hopefully be forgiven for. But that's my thoughts on it. I don't know any details, guys. I feel bad even to the extent I've commented on it, but the other stuff is important. I want people to understand that there is just a stupid, illogical, short-term feeling in this world. Not short-term feeling, there's a short-term strategy that guys think's going to pay off, and when it intertwines with economics and ego, people do dumb shit. So now let's go to the Colorado update and what the conditions are out there. All right, guys, in some of my content, you're going to see that I've been using this chest holster from Invader Concepts. This is with my 10mm. I also use it with my Glock 19 and even a PMR 30. I'm going to do a bunch of content here in the next couple months on that around bear defense. It should be interesting. It looks a little awkward to have your gun under your bino harness, but if you test out all the different variations, it is the best, and you have it on you all the time. I do have a discount code. It's CliffG, and it's for 10% off. Go check them out. All right, guys, so I've been MIA the last 10-12 days. So I've been guiding. Figured I'd give you guys a quick update. And the guys on the paid side, I will catch up on the questions that were sent to me, and I will get some calls on the schedule also for the next about a week. I've got about a week off between when I start guiding again. I'll start guiding archery elk hunters for the last 10, 11 days of September. But anyways, conditions in Colorado. So first I'll cover elk, even though I was guiding bear hunts. So on the elk front, elk are as expected, lower. There's limited water. It has been kind of, into that system of, or that cycle of afternoon thunderstorms. So most places no longer have like major fire risk, but the vegetation is what it is. It's not going to change the current vegetation, and things are dry, and there's not a lot of feed, and there's not a lot of live water in spots that historically do have live water. So we found that elk were more accessible, at least this first 10 days, than they typically are. I called in several bulls while we were guiding bear hunters, and these are places that are half mile off of the road, 3 miles off of the road. I kind of split my guiding. I was up a little bit further back in, like 6 miles into the wilderness, and then I guided the last 5-6 days off of the road, or last 4 days of hunting, I should say, off of the road. So I saw both perspectives. In general, elk seem to be down lower. Elk are vocalizing, bugling anywhere where there's a density of elk. So I think archery conditions are good right now. That might change when pressure starts, bumping up in Colorado, because a lot of these elk are going to get bumped like right off the bat by archers because they're right out of the trailheads, that sort of thing. So they might go back up into the high country, kind of get discombobulated, get back in the little spots in the high country that have water. But man, if I was hunting anywhere in most of Colorado, I'd be focused on water, and I'd probably be hunting a little bit lower. I am going to go guide in Eastern Oregon, so I have to laugh at myself a little bit because I kind of had the elk dialed the last 10 days, but I'm not going back there to guide elk hunts until rifle season. So anyways, that is the update on that. So keep that in mind if you're going up to Colorado, or even New Mexico. Northern New Mexico's got similar conditions over the next couple weeks. Bear hunting was tough. We did finally get into them. We did finally kill, but it was the toughest bear hunting I have ever seen. So I'll try to be quick here. So I went and scouted for bears in this area a month and a half ago. Tons of chokecherry, tons of serviceberry. I knew the serviceberry was gonna ripen and fall off. And I also knew that there was a bunch of acorns, but I kind of looked at those and figured that they probably wouldn't be ripe till like mid-September. So I was thinking all chokecherry would be good to go. We got there early September, packed in. Chokecherry, for the most part, anywhere that had sun exposure had dried up, fallen off, or been already eaten by bears. So that crop basically dropped. We chased a few scattered bears in that higher area, and I think I'll be transparent. That's what got us messed up, because we saw just enough bear activity to convince us to stay there. But as I always say, and it's like 2020 hindsight, but at the same time, it's like, Cliff, you always say that. Why don't you listen to yourself? You know better. But we really needed to find that density of bears. I think my biggest fear was really the reality, and that's that because of the dryness of the feed, the bears were basically low. In the region we're talking about, that meant private land for the most part. So it was limiting for where I could guide, and maybe there was just a subconscious, barrier in my mind that, oh no, there's got to be bears up here. We did see a few, and that kind of kept us in there hunting, when I probably should have just shucked it early and went down and started hunting the private land borders. We finally got into the density of bears the last couple days because of that. Right on the private land border, they were hitting feed that had good water, had the right exposure, big acorns, still some berries around, and a high density of bears. Bear shit everywhere, tracks on the trail, seeing bears, all that good stuff. So I guess it's just a testament. Sometimes you just gotta, it just is what it is. It took me and Cade 6-7 days just to get into the bear density. So, and a lot of work. Anyways, is what it was. It was tough conditions. Man, if I was going out bear hunting right now, I would be doing one of two things. I'd be either going to the high country, like above the alpine, trying to hunt those alpine bears. I don't talk about them a lot because they're typically low density, and I don't view them as that is a real high probability hunt. But really, bears are kind of dispersed everywhere this year, other than like right down there in ag, like on the edge of ag where there's a lot of water. So if you don't have access to that, you might want to consider those high alpine bears. If not, hunt the private land borders in most areas. And basically what I'm talking about is like the stuff 6,000 feet to 7,000 feet, and hunt that stuff in most areas of Colorado. That's actually where the bears are at. That's where there's enough water to have those acorns rocking. So that's the update, guys. I'm worn out. Gonna go rest a little bit and get back out there elk hunting. I hope everybody has had some luck on the elk front. I got a bunch of messages to catch up on. If you enjoyed this content, do me a huge favor. Subscribe on whatever platform you consume it on. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever works for you guys. Everything else is on my website, pursuitwithcliff.com. Go there and it's going to be very apparent to you that I work my ass off just to not have a real job. All the hunts I guide, all the seminars I put on, all the unique experiences I offer, and the membership site, all the details are there.